Hey Monarchs. So for today's video, what I want to talk to you about is how to install a doorknob. So the sun's out, it just got nice outside, it's Tuesday, and we're going to put a doorknob on this playhouse. One of the things I want to talk to you about before I install this, anytime you're getting ready to put a doorknob in and you go to the store, it's kind of overwhelming how many choices that you have. You can get a lot of different types. You can get keyed locks, you can get locks without keys, you can get what they call passage or hall and closet locks, you can get bathroom or privacy locks. So you do have quite a bit of locks you can choose from. But what I chose is a hall and closet. The reason I did that is because this is for my kids' playhouse, and if I put a door on here that locks, what's going to happen is the older sister is going to lock the younger sister out. So I just chose one without a locking mechanism on it. Now, they come in all different kinds of finishes. I just got a satin nickel, which is kind of a silver, but you can get a lot of different variations in color, and also handles. Locks are something you can spend a lot of money on. I didn't spend too much on this one because it's just for the playhouse, but you do have a lot of variations you can do when you go to the store. And even if you have an older house and you want to try to find something that's existing to match something in your house, a lot of times you can get online. We've done jobs before when we've worked in really old houses and people have wanted to keep them looking the same as what they originally did. And they've actually got online and found original almost looking hardware that we were able to put in and match what they had. So there's a lot of options that you have with locks. So to start this out, what I want to do is I want to unbox everything. Okay. And as you see, it comes with a lot of different stuff. If you're a little bit unsure of it, always read the directions. But, a lot of times, like I always tell you in class, you can get on YouTube, and if you type in the certain kind of lock that you bought, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't a video on there. So what it comes with is this assembly is what's actually going to latch the door. So this is my latch part of the lock. All right. Now, this particular one I like because when you're putting door locks in, sometimes when you put it in, it just seems like it's not long enough. So this one is adjustable. If you need it to go out a little bit more, it adjusts out. So there's two sizes on locks. Typically you have 2 3/8 or 2 3/4. This is one of the easiest I've ever seen to move back and forth. Sometimes they're really complicated and you really have to read the directions or watch a video on it. So one of the first things I want to tell you is you have to think the way the door closes. If you get it in backwards, what's going to happen is when you go, it's going to hit that striker plate and that door's not going to shut. So the way this should go in is I want the part that wedges inward going towards the door. So when I put that in there, it should fit just like that, nice and tight. Now, one thing I'll tell you, you're either going to get two kinds of these. All right, let me get this back out. You're either going to get squared off corners or rounded corners. And sometimes if you spend a little bit of money and you get the better lock sets, you're going to get one that's going to have either or. So depending on what you have in that kit, you should have what you need. Now, if it has square corners, the door that you bought, and you might have to take a chisel and do it. Sometimes you have to literally mark it and chisel it out. But most door locks are going to have either the rounded edges or the squared. They'll have either or for you. So to put this in, you slide that barrel in and you get it nice and seated. And you want to make sure that that hole lines up. Just like that. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill my centers. Now, in there you're going to have a hardware kit. So you're going to want to grab the threaded screws, the aggressive threads, the smaller ones. You're going to want to grab 2 of those. And always try to keep your hardware somewhere where you're not going to lose it or misplace it. Then all I have to do, it helps a lot if you use a drill to set these in. Just take it nice and slow. Don't want to over tighten, just get them nice and snug. Nice and set. Now, so anytime you're putting the knobs themselves on the lock, you want to think, you always want to put the screws to the inside. You don't want to put the screws to the outside, because if you do that and it's a locking lock, someone can take the screws out and break into whatever you're trying to secure. So you want to always make sure that your screws go to the inner part. And what you do, you just slide that through. Match everything up. You want to line your holes up. Sometimes you want to squeeze. If it may sit there. Now the next ones I'm shooting for are these longer threaded screws. And sometimes these guys can be a little bit tricky to put in. So you want to make sure that your slots are nice and lined up. This is the hardest part, is getting these in. Once you feel that start to thread, take a screwdriver with a Phillips. Now listen, if it's a really nice lock and you don't want to mar it up, one little tip I can give you is put a little painter's tape on the knob itself. Some of these knobs will actually pop off, but this one doesn't. But you can put a little painter's tape on that, and that'll keep you from getting your stuff scratched up. And that's a good tip, because you know, a lot of times I'm doing this in somebody else's house and I can't scratch things up. So that's a little something that you can do if you don't want to damage anything. Now it's kind of hard. You kind of got to get that screwdriver on an angle. I'm going to go ahead and go to a bigger tip here. If you don't have one of these adjustable screwdrivers, get one. They're wonderful. And I'm going to go ahead. I really try not to use a drill on this part, because I feel like a drill tends to over tighten, and if you over tighten this part, what's going to happen is you're going to strip that screw out and then you're in problems. So you don't want to do that. I usually try to use a screwdriver to do this with. And I'm going to go ahead and do my other side. This is a door I made myself for the Playhouse, and I used a door assembly kit. So basically what it is you can go to Lowe's or a hardware store, and if you buy a slab door that isn't pre-drilled for all this hardware, you can actually buy a jig that slides over the door, and you can do that yourself, and it is adjustable also, and the thing works great. You can pick those up for less than $30 at the hardware store. So if you're replacing doors in your house and you buy door slabs that aren't already pre-cut out, they work great. It's a good investment if you're going to do something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish screwing this in, and then when I get that done, what I want to make sure is everything works properly, and I want to get everything good and tightened down. You always want to make sure that that thing springs back in and out how it should and works with the knob. And if it's a locking lock, you want to make sure that you try to lock it and make sure all the hardware works properly how it should. And I want to get these screws tightened down really nice. And when I get that done, that's what you want. You want that thing to move freely, and it should spring right back out. If it doesn't, you may have things a little tight, or you may have to adjust the thing around a little bit. And if it springs back like that, you're good. And for my next video tomorrow, I don't have that striker side drilled out. So what I want to do is show you how to actually drill that out and put the striker in so that door closes tightly and securely. But it's a very easy job to do, to put a lock on a door. Doesn't take very long. You can usually do a lock in 10 minutes or less, and it's a very do-it-yourself friendly project. So I hope you got something out of this video today, Monarchs. Enjoy the sunshine, and I will see you tomorrow.